In today's video, we will discover the lives of King Charles III's many cousins. To be exact, he has 22. Only 2 of them come from his maternal side of the family, while the rest are his paternal cousins. We will uncover their lives, their children, and perhaps even their deaths. Some of them are better known to the public, just like his maternal cousins, David Armstrong-Jones and Lady Sarah Chatto, while most of his paternal cousins were forgotten over time, perhaps due to the fact that all of his aunts married into German royalty. However, as the monarchy in Germany was abolished after the First World War, all of the monarchs lost their titles. We are starting this video with Charles III's maternal cousins, David Armstrong-Jones and Sarah Chatto. David Albert Charles Armstrong was born on November 3, 1961 at Clarence House. He grew up at Kensington Palace. At 15, his parents separated, and from then on, they spent their time depending on which parent they were at. The holidays were spent at the royal estates. He was educated together with his cousin Prince Andrew and later went to several schools. From 1980 to 1982, he studied wood craftsmanship at Parnham House. After his studies, David opened up a company named David Lindley Furniture Limited. David is styled as Viscount Lindley and is known as David Lindley on professional basis. But when David borrowed from his company, he was forced to sell controlling shares. In 2006, he began working for Christie's in different positions. Back in 1993, David married Serena Stanhope. Serena is a descendant of Charles II through one of his many illegitimate children. Together they have 1 son and 1 daughter. The family has 3 homes, 2 in London and 1 in Gloucestershire. The couple, however, separated in 2020 and is set to file for divorce. At the time of his birth in 1961, David was 5th in line of the succession. As of today, he is 25th and the first person on the list that is not a descendant of Queen Elizabeth II. Next, we are moving on to David's younger sister, Sarah. Sarah was born on May 1st, 1964 at Kensington Palace. Her full name is Sarah Frances Elizabeth, and she was baptized 3 months after her birth at Buckingham Palace. She was raised at Kensington Palace together with her brother under the care of their nanny. From a young age on, she became interested in art, and to no surprise, she later enrolled at the Camberwell Art School. Sarah was one of the bridesmaids at the wedding of her cousin Charles to Lady Diana Spencer. After her education, she spent 2 years in India as a photographer. There she met her future husband, Daniel Chatto. They married in 1994 and have 2 sons. Sarah is also the godmother to Prince Harry and Lady Louise Windsor. Sarah works as an artist under the name Sarah Armstrong-Jones and exhibits her work at the Redfern Gallery. Although Sarah is not a working royal, she was close to her aunt, the late Queen Elizabeth II, and is still close to her cousin Charles III. At the time of her birth in 1964, Sarah was 7th in line to the British throne. Today, she holds place number 28. Sarah is also the youngest grandchild of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Now that we have covered Charles's maternal cousins, let us move on to the paternal side of his family, starting off with the children of his eldest aunt, Princess Margarita of Greece and Denmark. Princess Margarita married Gottfried, the Prince of Hohenlohe-Langenburg, in 1935. Together they have 5 children. Their eldest son was Prince Croft of Hohenlohe-Langenburg. He was born on June 25, 1935. He became a forester and later worked in a bank. When he was 25, he took over the managing of his father's estate, Castle Langenburg. The castle was destroyed by a fire in the 1960s and had to be renovated. In 1965, he married Charlotte Alexandra, Princess of Croy. Together they had 2 children before they were divorced in 1990. 2 years later, Croft married an Austrian woman by the name of Irma. Croft died on March 16, 2004. Croft's younger and only sister was Princess Beatrice Alice Maria Melita, who was born on July 10, 1936. Throughout her life, she worked as a secretary. Beatrice never married and never had any children. She died at the age of 61 on November 15, 1997. Her younger brother was Prince George Andrew Henry, who was born on November 24, 1938. In September 1969, he married Princess Louise of Schönborg-Waldburg. The couple settled in Munich and later became parents to 2 daughters. Andrew, as he was called in the family, died just 2 years ago in 2021. He was the last surviving child of Princess Margarita of Greece and Denmark. Now, Prince Andrew's younger brother was named Ruprecht Sigismund and was born on April 7, 1944. He died quite young at the age of 34 and never married. This is unfortunately all I found out about him. Next we have Prince Albrecht Wolfgang, who was the twin brother of Ruprecht. They were born in Langenburg during the end of the Second World War while their father was away with the army. He married a woman named Maria Fischer in 1976 and passed away in 1992 at the age of 48. We are continuing with the children of Princess Theodora of Greece and Denmark. With her husband Berthold, the Margrave of Baden, whom she married in 1931, she had 3 children. The eldest of them was Margarita Alice Dura Victoria Maria Luisa Scholista, as her full name was. She was born on July 14, 1932, in Salem. She is the eldest cousin of Charles III and was the firstborn great-great-great-grandchild of Queen Victoria. She grew up at Castle Salem and in 1948 she moved to London to train as a nurse. Margarita was one of the guests attending the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II in 1953. During her time in London, she met Prince Tomislav of Yugoslavia. They were married on June 5, 1957 and settled in the UK where they ran a fruit farm. Together they had 2 children. The marriage was divorced in 1981. Margarita died on January 15, 2013 after a long illness. Margarita's younger brother was Maximilian. He was born on July 3, 1933. Maximilian was briefly engaged to his cousin Princess Beatrice, who we covered earlier. However, their engagement was broken off. Upon the death of his father in 1963, he became the Margrave of Baden and the head of the House of Baden. In 1966, Maximilian married Archduchess Valerie. Together they were to have 4 children. His wife represented him at the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II last year. Maximilian died only 3 months later on December 29, 2022. His funeral, which took place on January 13, 2023, was attended by royalty from across Europe. His son Bernard succeeded him as titular head of the House of Baden. Maximilian's younger brother is Louis William George Ernest Christopher. He was born on March 16, 1937 in Karlsruhe. In 1967, he married Princess Maria Anna of Auersperg-Breuner. The couple has 3 children and lives in Castle Zwingenberg in Baden. As of when this video is posted, Louis is still alive today. Next, we are moving on to the children of Princess Cecilie of Greece and Denmark and her husband George. Now they had 3 children together. Their firstborn child was Louis, whom Cecilie gave birth to on October 25, 1931. Next is Prince Alexander, who followed on April 14, 1933. Lastly, Cecilie gave birth to Princess Joanna on September 20, 1936. The reason I'm counting them down like this is because all of them died tragically young. You see, Cecilia's brother-in-law was set to marry in October 1937 when her father-in-law died of lung cancer. Cecilia's husband became the new head of the House of Hesse-Darmstadt. The wedding of her brother-in-law Louis was therefore postponed to November of the same year in order to mourn the loss of their father. As the wedding was set to take place in England, Cecilie, who was 8 months pregnant at that time, her husband and her 2 sons boarded a plane to London on November 16, 1937. As the flight started, everything looked quite normal until thick fog appeared, causing the plane to crash into a chimney of a factory before catching fire. This caused the immediate death of all passengers on board. In the wreck, the body of a newborn baby was also found, leading to the conclusion that Cecilie had given birth in the midst of the flight. The only surviving member of Cecilia's family was her daughter Joanna, who was too young to attend the wedding and therefore remained at home. However, her life was also cut short when she died of meningitis on June 14, 1939, at only 2 years old. Lastly, we are moving on to the children of Princess Sophie of Greece and Denmark, who was Charles's youngest paternal aunt. She firstly married Prince Christoph of Hesse in 1930. Their eldest child was Princess Christina of Hesse, who was born on January 10, 1933. She and her siblings grew up at the home of their paternal grandmother as well as the residence of their parents in Berlin. Christina's father was a member of the Nazi regime and was killed in the Second World War when his plane crashed. In 1955, she moved to London with her cousin, where she studied the restoration of paintings. During this time, she reconnected with Prince Andrew of Yugoslavia, whom she had met before. They got engaged and married on August 2, 1956. The marriage resulted in 2 children but was divorced after only 6 years. Christa, as she was named in her family, went on to marry a Dutch painter. With him she had an additional 2 children, but this marriage also resulted in a divorce. She died on November 22, 2011. Her younger sister is Princess Dorothea. She was born on July 24, 1934, and went on to marry Prince Frederick of Windisch-Gratz. Their wedding took place in 1959 after their engagement was announced on August 28, 1958. Together, the couple has 2 daughters. As of today, Princess Dorothea should still be alive. Her younger brother was Prince Charles of Hesse. He was born on March 26, 1937 in Berlin. On his 29th birthday, he married Countess Yvonne Chapari. Their wedding was attended by royals from across Europe. The couple would go on to have 1 son and 1 daughter. Charles died last year at the age of 84, 3 days before his 85th birthday. His younger brother is Prince Rainer of Hesse, who was born on November 18, 1939. He worked as an assistant to a film director and later became a director himself at the theater in Ulm, Germany. He also works as a historian and mostly published works of his own family. He used to live near Paris before he returned back to Germany. He never married and is still alive today. His youngest full sister is Princess Clarissa of Hesse, who was born in 1944. Unfortunately, this is the only information I found on her, but she is also still alive today. After the death of her first husband, Princess Sophie married Prince George William of Hanover. Together they had 3 more children. The eldest of them was Prince Welf Ernest of Hanover. He was born on January 25, 1947 in Saxony. He had 1 daughter with his wife named Wiebke. The family moved to India, where he died at the age of only 33 after a karate training. The cause of his death was a cerebral hemorrhage. His younger brother is Prince George, who was born on December 9, 1949 at Salem. In 1974, he married Victoria Ann B. The couple has 2 daughters. Prince George is also still alive today. The last person on this list is Princess Frederica of Hanover, who was born in 1954. Unfortunately, there is no information on her life, but she is also still alive today.